Hey guys. So last week you guys wrote your very first story in your pink book, right? You chose something that's happened to you and you wrote on 3 pages in order what happened to you or what your story was about. So today what we're going to do is we're going to take it a next step and I am going to teach you about what kind of stories we should be writing. All right, you're still writing stories about things that have happened to you, which are the easiest stories to write because it happened to you. You just have to write what happened. All right? But sometimes it's hard to know where we get our ideas from and then how to zoom in on a small moment. Okay, so if I wanted to write about my trip to Hawaii, that really would be a long book because I could tell you all about the plane ride and then getting the rental car and then driving to the hotel and then when we went to the beach and then our favorite dinner. That's so much information. So, what you want to try and do is zoom in on one little moment from the whole trip to help make your story about a short, small moment. All right. So, what I call these are pumpkin and seed stories. All right. So, right here, I have a picture of a pumpkin. Okay. And pumpkin stories are big. They're big, big, big ideas. Okay. So, an example of a pumpkin story could be my trip to the beach. Trip to beach. Okay. Another example of a pumpkin story could be something like first grade. Okay. If you wrote a story about first grade, that could be 500 pages. All the things you needed to tell me about first grade. That's a lot of stuff. Okay. Another pumpkin story would be going to the zoo. Okay. If you wrote a story about going to the zoo, it could be really long if you said, first we walked in and we saw this animal, and then we saw this animal, and then we ate lunch, and then we did this and this and this and this and this. Okay. That's a lot of things happening. Okay. Another pumpkin story could be soccer. If you play soccer. Okay, well, that could be, you could be telling me about your soccer game. It could be about practice. It could be about your soccer friends. Okay, these are all really big ideas. So, our focus today is to go from a big pumpkin story and zoom in, make it a smaller seed story, a little detail. Okay, so I'm going to think of some seeds. A trip to the beach. One little tiny moment from my trip to the beach is building a sandcastle. Okay. Another tiny pumpkin moment, maybe from soccer. If I chose to write about soccer, I would just choose a tiny seed moment, and maybe that is when I scored a goal. Right? Okay, so instead of these really, really big stories, we want to zoom in and write a whole story about a tiny little seed. Okay, so in your pink folders, you are going to find this pink piece of paper, which looks kind of like what I just did, and it has a pumpkin and a seed on it. Pumpkins and seeds, all right? Perfect. So you're going to think of a big idea, like a trip to the beach, or maybe a trip to the mountains, a camping trip. Let's see, soccer. If you play a sport, your big pumpkin idea could just be that sport. Let's see. Your big pumpkin idea could be kindergarten because you all did kindergarten. Okay. My big pumpkin idea, I'm going to stick with my example of when we went to Hawaii. So up here, I'm going to write Hawaii. That's my pumpkin idea. Okay. So I want you to think in your head of a pumpkin idea, a big topic that you could write a lot of things about. And then within that topic, I'm going to write some seeds. So let me think about little things that happened when we were in Hawaii. Let me see. Ooh, we went to, I know. We went to snorkel and saw a turtle. We went to snorkel and saw a turtle. Okay, so instead of writing a huge story about my trip to Hawaii, I would write my whole story about snorkeling and seeing a turtle. Okay, Another fun thing that happened in Hawaii is we got to see hula dancers at a luau. Okay, so again, luau, I think that's how you spell it. Instead of me telling you this really long story about my trip to Hawaii, I'm picking these tiny little moments that I'm going to write about instead. Okay, so this is your first slide today for writing. You're going to come up with your pumpkin idea and then little details of things that happened. Okay, if you chose a sport like dance, maybe one C could be when your ballet shoe wouldn't fit, or when you had a recital after Christmas. Okay, that kind of stuff. So once you do this, get your pumpkin and seed sheet done,